Hey folks, happy March. It's Alan, co-VP of Content at AMA Boston, bringing you another episode of Talking Marketing. I just wanted to introduce this one pretty quickly. I also want to say I hope you're all doing well. The new year has been progressing along steadily for me. I've been doing a lot of traveling. I just got back from New York, doing a lot of personal growth and development over there. And I'm going to be in San Diego when this episode comes out. So I'm producing this part before I leave. And that'll be my big travel, I think, for at least the first half of the year. But I hope that you're able to get out and enjoy the weather as it gets a little bit better here in Boston. And if you're not here in Boston, then, shout outs to you. This episode is my interview with Emilee Cocuzzo. It was one of the first Talking Marketings that I've gotten to record in person. The last one being, of course, the Emerson Student Special. Emilee is our co-VP here at AMA Boston, and as my tenure with the podcast and with the team continues to grow and change, I was thinking it would be really cool to start interviewing different board members, and Emilee offered herself as an option right away. She also graciously provided us access to a WeWork located in downtown Boston to record in and then take a board meeting in. It was a great day, one of the best days for me of last month for sure. Just, the two of us, VP of Social Media Brian Hurst and co-VP of Content Victoria Franco, hanging out, talking marketing, and just like being pals, and doing the dang thing. So that's where this episode was recorded. You'll notice that the audio is not exactly the same as like a traditional Zoom recording, but it's still very much audible. And I highly, highly recommend the YouTube version because you get to see Emilee and I cramped in a little studio together, talking about all sorts of weird stuff. I'm really proud of this interview. I was so happy to get to talk to Emilee. She's so cool, so talented, so interesting, such a fun person to talk to, and it could have gone on for a lot longer. I just found myself going, I think we hit all the big points. But definitely let me know what you think. I always invite feedback about the podcast, and check us out on amaboston.org, where you can find our events calendar, and you can, if you want to volunteer with us, you can find out about that. And maybe you can either be on or help produce Talking Marketing. I highly encourage you to reach out. I hope that March is treating you well once again, and I will see you for the much hyped episode 50 in 2 months. So for now, please enjoy my conversation with Emilee. Hello and welcome to Talking Marketing, an AMA Boston podcast where we chat with marketing professionals across various industries and try to get to the core of what makes their work impactful. I'm Al Ibrahim, your host and co-VP of Content for the American Marketing Association's Boston chapter. And today I'm very excited to welcome my guest. She's a service lead for digital transformation by day and the president-elect of AMA Boston by night. It's Emilee Cocuzzo. Welcome, Emilee. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate this.
This is an episode many months in the making.
Many months and a few weeks ago. Really trying to plan this out.
Yes, this is our second take after the Boston traffic really wanted to get into our way and cause trouble. But we made it here, and if you're watching the video, we're live from a WeWork in downtown Boston. I encourage you to check out the video version on our YouTube channel and give us a subscribe if you want to see more Talking Marketing stuff. And I'm here talking with Emilee because she is my friend and she's also our president-elect here at AMA Boston. Emilee, where do we start? I mean, can you tell people a little bit about your background and how you got involved with AMA?
Of course. So currently service delivery lead at Valeri, which is a software development firm based out of Massachusetts. Previously, just left my job at Booz Allen Hamilton, where I was a senior consultant. I also teach at Clark University, which I teach entrepreneurship, which has been fantastic. And I joined AMA back in the pandemic. I moved back from DC and wanted to make some new friends and was feeling like a marketing community could be where it's at, and met great people like you, so here we are.
You were based in DC? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Booz Allen's based in DC, so I went down and lived there for a bit and came back.
But you grew up here?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of Mass are you from? Is that
Everett?
Everett.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
I was just talking about what's the casino in Everett?
Casino. Yeah.
What's it called?
Oh, Encore.
Encore
Yeah.
today.
because my coworker, she's like, oh, they give you so much free stuff for going there. And in my head, I'm thinking, actually, coincidentally, I'm like, that's really good marketing. Like,
yeah, it is.
They give you like a token for like a bunch of money. We're not sponsored by Encore, to be clear, at all. But it just
Okay.
like, yeah, no, we're not doing a gambling sponsorship.
No.
Anyways, that's very cool. And I always like to ask people this, especially like younger folks like us, what specifically brought you into marketing? Like, how did you, amongst all the careers you could have had, like young Emilee in high school, like what made you pick marketing?
I would say, so at Clark, I studied business, and within business, you didn't have concentrations, but your electives could essentially count as what you would concentrate in.
Yeah.
And mine was based out of marketing, branding, all of that stuff. And I love the storytelling aspect of it. Got into the analytics part of it a little bit later into my college career, and I think when you can tell a good story and really connect with the brand because of it, that's great marketing to me.
But like, I'm gonna dig deep on this.
Okay,
I promise you. So what brought you to Clark though?
Good question.
If you feel comfortable sharing.
No, it's a funny one because I was kind of kicking and screaming on my way to Clark.
Really?
It wasn't my first choice. It was my second choice. Not quite sure where it was on the list, but it was definitely not at the top. Sorry, okay. Clark, but I love Clark now, so it's a good story. Came because I got really good financial aid, as you hear from many stories.
Yeah.
And then they have a 5th-year program where if you reach a certain GPA, you get your 5th-year master's for free. And of course, when you're 18 years old, you're like, yeah, maybe, but whatever. But that was appealing for me.
Yeah.
And so it was close to home, close enough that I could come home if I needed to, but far enough away where my mom wasn't, hounding me to come over for dinner every night. But yeah, it was definitely a little surprising to end up at Clark. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but now we're here and I love it.
Did you come to also like Worcester? Because I visited Worcester recently and I was like, I see the appeal of it kind of being out there, but it's a little bit in the middle of nowhere. Again, no offense to anyone. It's true.
So I'm a big Worcester proponent,
Really?
Huge fan. Yeah, I was in the Worcester Student Government Association. I led that association when I was a student, and it was all about how do you get students to places in Worcester.
Yeah.
How do you get them integrated into the community? And so I've been a big proponent ever since that. I still go up quite frequently. Obviously, 1, to teach at Clark, but 2, still have some friends there. I just went to a Reelers game. Love going to a Woo Sox game.
Yeah.
And they have some great food.
Really?
Have you been to some good places there?
No, that was my first time going to Worcester.
Yeah.
Literally, so.
Amazing food there, and truthfully, some of the best food I've had throughout my life in Worcester. So.
But like the whole like it being far, you didn't have a problem with like not being close to home or too close to Boston, I guess?
No, I think there's this kind of weird competition between Worcester and Boston.
Yeah.
But I celebrate it as individually. They should be celebrated as their own cities that do incredible things and have incredible communities that should help and support each other. So, I love Worcester as its own.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of like people say like Cambridge and Somerville are like Boston Junior.
Yeah.
And Worcester's kind of like on an island.
Yeah, it's. I kind of hate when people pin cities against each other.
Yeah, no need to. That we're all doing our own thing.
Right.
It definitely seems like a place with a lot of culture. And then, like, so you've always been a go-getter, though. It seems like you mentioned student government. When did that start? Was that like something your family instilled in you, or did you just naturally, you're out the crib, you're like
out the crib?
Yeah, getting into business.
Gosh, that's a good question. So, I mean, growing up, I played a lot of sports, so very much in a competitive environment, and so I think I see that coming out a lot with what I do. But in high school, I didn't do a lot. Was in a few clubs, national, all that stuff. But when I came to Clark, it was funny. I had a friend whose sister was a year older than us, and she went to, I think, Syracuse or something, and she was just saying that her sister wasn't having a good time there. I don't know if it was too big or whatnot, but she said, I think my sister's problem was actually she didn't get involved. Like, she wasn't involved in any clubs or organizations. And so we were just having this conversation of, you really make your college experience what you want it to be. And so that was kind of a turning point of, if I wanted to enjoy my college experience, I really needed to kind of take hold of it and do what I thought would be valuable and interesting and fun. And so when I got to Clark, I said, okay, as I said, didn't think I was going to love it at the beginning, but then decided to get involved with student government, get involved with, Speakers Forum, like all these other kind of alumni associations, things like that, those types of clubs, because I knew I wanted to create a good experience for my college, for my 4 years in college.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my, I guess, beginner story.
So you were trying to basically cultivate a like fulfilling, couple of years there, basically.
Essentially.
Do you feel like you accomplished that?
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to think so.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, with how much you've gotten coming out of Clark, I definitely think that it sounds like it, right?
Absolutely.
So speaking of Clark, I guess we can pivot to talking about your time there a little bit. It seems like to me a university that is very big on like uplifting their students, allowing them to give back, whether it's volunteering or I was just fortunate enough to meet one of the people who hosts their D&I for You and I podcast. And he was talking about how they have like thrifting on campus and stuff like that, which is so cool.
Yeah.
But like to that point, you are currently like a teacher at Clark. What do you teach there?
I teach entrepreneurship. I teach the business pitch course.
Okay.
So teaching students how to create a business pitch for investors and really just selling their business to others.
Have you seen sort of the fruits of that? Have you seen like students go out there and
start
businesses?
And I think that's the beauty of teaching is seeing your students thrive. I'll give you a quick story. One of my students, she sells artwork. Shout out to Colors of the Wind. Shout out to Win. She's amazing. And I told her in class, I said, I'd love to see you at art festivals and things like that. And I gave her a whole list, and she ended up following most of it, and we were able to meet up at the Providence Water Fire. They have pop-ups for artists, and she was there the first night. It was amazing. I took a few friends and we went down and got to see her sell and see a bunch of people come over and compliment her artwork.
That's awesome.
And buy stuff. So those are the moments where you're very lucky and thankful to be a professor.
Yeah. Seeing the seeds get planted and grow. I love that.
Absolutely.
And then has teaching sort of changed the way, because you, like I've talked about, have been so busy for a long time, and like, do you feel that teaching has helped you cultivate a certain like business sense or marketing sense? Has it helped you get better at your own work, is what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it does. I think short answer, yes. And I tell people, that they're like, what do you think the secret to success is for teaching? I think is that every student's at a different level. So obviously you have first years to seniors and maybe some grad students, and sure, they're all on different levels, but some people are selling artwork, some people are doing tech companies and things like that. So they're all kind of at different stages, different levels, and different industries. And it's really getting them to a place where you're meeting everyone in the middle, where okay, so this person may just be starting their business. Can I at least get them to this point?
At least.
And then the people that are thriving and have had their business for years, how do we get them to the next level?
Right.
So kind of getting them to the place where I think they will be set up to do whatever's next. So with that, I take that kind of concept into business where everyone is kind of on their own pathway in their career. And so, for example, in AMA Boston, everyone has different things they want to get out of AMA Boston. And how do we get them to, do a podcast if that's what they're interested in, or write blogs because they want to have a showcase for their, freelancing work or whatnot. So I use that as everyone is on some type of level, and we want them to get to the point where they feel like they're thriving, they're growing, or are able to get to that next step. So.
Again, it's all about planting seeds, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that comes back to AMA too. Like, we're always talking about how volunteering with us is about you. It's like about you, the volunteer, and about sort of building your skill set and doing the stuff you want to do, so that when you come out of it, you're like, I learned, or I met a lot of people, and did all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of doing a lot of stuff, from my understanding, have just kind of always had your hand in a lot of projects between your consulting work and your teaching work and your volunteer work. What motivates you to stay that busy? Are you, because I know a lot of people like that who just want to be up here all the time, and then some people who like burn out doing that, or
Yeah.
who stay down here all the time and constantly feel like I could be doing more.
Mhm.
I felt like that a lot during my undergrad actually, which is why I pivoted careers. So like, what motivates you?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what energizes you. I listened to a really good podcast by Jackson Olsen from the Savannah Bananas. Do you
Okay.
know them? Yeah.
Not familiar.
The baseball team that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
So one of their star players was talking about how Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas, teaches them to really follow your energy. You know, people talk about following your passion,
Yeah.
but following your energy is just really important because you know your passions change, things change,
Yeah.
and your interests change. And so, what energizes you? What kind of spaces energizes you? Communities that energizes you. And so I use that practice a lot of. Do I still feel energized when I'm in an organization like AMA Boston?
Right.
And the answer is yes, because I get to meet cool people like you. We get to have fun networking events. We get to work with some really cool brands and people and do things that I normally would never have gotten access to. But I think when I look at other things I do, such as volunteering with other nonprofits or even working, it's really comes down to that really core of what am I doing to energize myself. And so I use that question a lot, and if I feel that when I leave, say, work every day, do I feel like, hey, this is a good day, or I'm having more good days than bad days, or even when I'm teaching, I come home and I know, hey, that was really fun. I can't wait to go back next week.
Right.
So I think the short answer to that is also I do a lot, but I do a lot because I enjoy what these organizations and things I do give me.
Right. You're getting back as much, if not more, than what you're putting in.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the other part of this question was that I'm wondering, like, do you see yourself as much of a go-getter, like 5, maybe 10 years from now?
I'd
I
say
know that's
so.
hard to think about, obviously.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, the optimism is great.
Yeah, I definitely know. Yeah, when you have kids and all that, you settle down a bit, but I definitely see myself, still coaching Little League and things like that. It just changes in different ways.
Yeah.
So whether that be having kids and then teaching or coaching their Little League team, or volunteering on the PTA or whatever, I don't think I want to be that kind of mom, but I'm definitely not doing the bake sale, but I do see myself just shifting a bit, but still staying motivated and being in tune with the community, whatever that may look like.
Yeah, there's different ways to do what you do at different stages of your life, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be getting into the dirt doing Little League coaching if you're like 60. It's like you can still be a coach without being that same type of coach,
Right.
I didn't actually know you coached Little League. I know you've talked a lot about sports and stuff.
No, I don't, and it's something I do want to get into.
I see.
Yeah, but I guess more of an example of like, I think different stages of life, like it'll be coaching, or maybe when I'm older, in retirement age, it's more about like advising boards or something of that nature. So just whatever stage hits and it makes it, again, back to the impact of the community.
What sport are you like really jazzed about these days? Whether it's watching or playing.
Baseball was probably my forever throughout life because I played it. Went to Red Sox games every year. I love baseball, and I started playing on a softball team recently with like Bola Sports, and that's been fun to get back into it. Played up until high school, so that's been great. But I love women's soccer. I feel like that's something I talk a lot about.
Yeah.
And we have season tickets to the Gotham team in New York, New Jersey, and we're getting a Boston team in 2026, which I'm really jazzed about.
Oh yeah.
So I could talk a lot about that, but
do you have a favorite player?
Yeah, Tierna Davidson. She's a defender on the U.S. national team, and then she just was moved to Gotham, which is now a team that we have season tickets to, and she was at the Chicago Red Stars. So I could not be more hyped to watch her now.
Is we person. Just who do you mean by we?
Me and my friends.
Okay.
Yeah, we have season tickets.
That's always fun because like I've never been big on sports, but everyone I know who is got into it through family or like connections. Like what was like who ignited your passion for baseball?
Baseball, just growing up with a family that loved baseball. My grandpa and I played catch almost every day after
Oh.
school, and he loved baseball too. And family also played hockey, but my mom didn't want me to play hockey. Maybe she was right at the end of all that with all the concussions, but played a little basketball. But then everyone started getting taller, and I was still
And you didn't.
yeah, I was still under 5 feet when I was reaching like 8th grade. So I feel like that wasn't it wasn't a good fit.
I gotcha.
But and then women's soccer, my friend took me to a nationals game back. I forget, like 2021, right when they started playing for the Olympics. And it was funny. She kind of bribed me. I said, "Hey, would you go to a Red Sox game if I go to this, women's national team game?" And she's like, "Yeah, man, whatever."
For sure.
And then I get there, I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome. I'm here."
Really?
100%.
Going to a game did it for you.
Yeah.
basically.
I was like, I was like Ted Lasso. I don't know what offsides are. Yeah.
Are you a Ted Lasso fan?
Oh, I love Ted Lasso.
I can imagine. It's
Oh
like
my
all the things you're talking about.
Yeah.
Between like inspiration, finding your passion, sports. I get a very earnest energy from you, Emilee, that I like a lot. So I
Thank
think you have a bit of Ted in you,
Thank
if I'm
you.
honest.
That's such it's such a special compliment. Thank you.
It's true. I mean, like, I've met a lot of people through AMA, and I love all our teams, but like, I think I find it easy to talk to you, which is why when you asked to do the episode, I was like, obviously, like, I'm I give the impression that I'm very extroverted, but
You are.
it took a lot of cultivating. Like, I am a huge nerd, and I used to have big problems talking to people, and it just kind of like clicked for me. Man, what worked is a lot of my good friends are the quiet ones, and I'm really good at. I found myself getting really good at pulling good conversation out of the quiet ones.
Yeah.
So I think maybe some people who might meet you might be like, "Oh, Emily seems kind of quiet and reserved," and it's like, no, she's not. Like, she's a sparkling conversationalist.
No, I appreciate that, and that's why you are fantastic podcast host.
Yeah.
Because you can really grab some amazing information from people that they may not be as comfortable sharing. So
Yeah, it's a skill.
It is, absolutely.
It's a cultivated skill, but I do appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
And then rounding it out with talking about AMA. So we did your past, your present. What are your primary goals as president-elect? Because once current president Bob Cargill, I like to look at the camera when I say Bob Cargill in case he's watching. Hi, Bob. What are your primary goals as president-elect and eventually president when you step over? Because we talk a lot internally at AMA about building the future and like training your replacements, because even though our time here matters, we're also very conscious that nobody should stay here forever.
Right.
It's not designed for that. So
Right.
what's your big picture goals?
Gosh, quite a few. I'll give you the top 3 that I'm thinking of. First is really getting to know our members, and our VP of membership, Tammy, who's fantastic, and our programming VP, Selena, are working on a survey to our members, which I don't think we've done in quite a while.
Yeah.
So it's really getting to know, what do you want out of AMA Boston? What are your benefits? What's the value? And so gathering that information and using that feedback to then put on events and programming and anything else our members want. So that's really important. That's something that's up and coming that I'm excited about. So really getting to know that. I'll give you one example from that, is that we learned that our members live a little bit further out from Boston, and that getting into Boston on a Thursday night is pretty hard. So can we bring more events out a little bit outside of Boston, such as Framingham? We're doing an event in June, I believe, in Worcester. So just getting further out there and getting to our members. A second big goal of mine is kind of creating this intergenerational approach to AMA, and I think we've talked about it a lot.
Definitely.
I think the board's pretty well aware is that we do a really good job from college students to CMOs, and so we have members that fit in those different demographics. And so how can we create value for each one of those members? So for example, for college students, we go to their campuses and we partner with them, whether that be hosting a workshop, doing some mentoring, creating a panel for them. And so those are really value adds to students. But then on the other side, for example, a CMO, one concept that we're working on is a CMO dinner. So can we grab a few CMOs in the area and have a sit-down dinner where we're talking about marketing topics, we're talking about what AMA can do for them and what they want out of AMA. So that's something up and coming. And then everyone kind of in between, we're young professionals. We have people that are, a little bit in their mid-career going into executive, and how do we also bridge those gaps? Where is it executive coaching for those that want to get to the next level? Is it just learning how to be a good manager when you first have the managees or advisees or whatnot? So that's something that I'm really conscious of and want to build towards. So that's number 2, and then number 3 is something internally, which I think you're well aware of, is getting to know our board members well, which I think we're doing a better job in, but really getting to know our volunteers too, because we have some great volunteers that you can agree with.
Absolutely.
They're fantastic, really, and they work so hard. And I want to be more present and available to them, and also acknowledge and show them that they're important and that we value them, and there's benefits to volunteering with AMA Boston. So we're doing some more informal meetup events, as you've kind of seen. We're doing some informal dinners and also doing volunteer of the quarter. So all those things to continue to show that those volunteers are valuable, and we really do appreciate them.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying all that, and I think it's awesome what you're working on, and especially after after the biggest boom of COVID, we got so separated that the idea of even doing something like this, being in person somewhere, is super. It was very alien for a while, right? And it's you ask anybody who was here in 2019, and they're like, yeah, we used to just do that. We would go to places, and board meetings happened in person. And I think with volunteers, it's just way more appealing when you can do stuff in person too, and the people you're working with. I consider the content team to be my good friends, and you and Brian are sincerely, even in my time when I leave AMA, it's I still want to be in touch with you guys.
Absolutely.
And that came from cultivating stuff you're talking about, events and meetups, and even stuff that's not on the AMA books. Hey, do you guys want to grab a drink somewhere? You just have to do that stuff. I think our VP of social media, Brian Hurst, and I talked to a lot about you just have to book time with each other. And we're all adults, and sometimes you have to throw something on my calendar, but that doesn't have to mean we're working. Perfect example of that was Brian. We're both Quincy residents, and he was do you want to meet at a Starbucks and talk for an hour about vaguely what we want to do this year? And I was sure, and we just did that. And then I went home, and that's not an AMA event, right? That's not going on the calendar, but that is the kind of stuff that keeps me around.
Absolutely.
Is talking to people and being friends. So yeah, I think it all adds up to a really cohesive team, which is what you're building towards.
Absolutely. I think one of the reasons why I stayed with AMA, and I kind of had this crossroads of possibly just leaving too after my term.
Sure.
And it was hanging out with you and Brian one night. It was the night I drove you back to Quincy. And we
Oh my God.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And then it was it was just kind of
Fire Nice.
Yeah. Kind of a moment where we're oh, okay, you're cool people.
Yeah.
We want to continue to have this relationship.
Oh, that's so sweet that kept you around.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny, we don't think about those, or we don't tell people, but it's those little moments change you. They change what makes you want to do what you do.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned it, so now I have to get to my lighter questions, which is, for those who don't know, Emilee Cocuzzo, businesswoman, president-elect, iconic, sports person, business leader, Taylor Swift mega fan.
I'm a Swiftie.
She's a Swift. She's the ultimate, the biggest Swiftie I know.
Nah.
I have a friend from high school who's it's a little dangerous.
Yeah.
But you might be up there with her. What got you started?
Oh gosh.
What was the seed? Talking about planting seeds.
Yeah.
What planted the Swiftie seed in you?
The Swiftie. I mean, I just listened to her when I was, 12,
middle
13.
school. Yeah. Okay.
Back to December, or
Yeah.
You Belong With Me, your first big crush. You're just singing You Belong With Me, and that's just that resonates with you. And I think she's kind of the perfect age where she was singing songs that were relevant when I was younger.
Totally.
And then as she grew older, relationships got more mature. The songs that she sang also matured, and so those songs still felt relevant to me. And I think of every one of her songs or eras or albums as time points in my life, and that each one of them has a different memory or a different association. So Taylor just brings relevancy, I guess, to my life.
She's on a first name basis.
my mom the other day, because whenever I have to drive her somewhere, we're obviously blasting Taylor. And
Of course.
I would actually argue that she's a pretty big Swiftie at this point.
Good.
But she's like, someone called her Tay Tay the other day. She's like, can we also refer to her as Tay Tay? I was like, yeah, I always
that's
call
cute.
her Tay Tay.
It's very cute.
So.
It's interesting because I think there's a couple of artists I like that their style grew up with me, and it's like undeniable. Like I love you. I'm gonna love this music forever.
Yeah.
And when you guys stop doing music, it's gonna be life changing for me. And it's very fortunate that you happen to land in an age that is like ideal Swiftie time, you know?
And even kids that are, still 12, 13 now, still find relevancy of what she's singing. And I think that's so great that she is truly an intergenerational singer.
Yeah. So the reason I'm looking at my laptop right now is because I was reading this really great newsletter that I read every week called Garbage Day. And it's basically like this guy, Ryan Broderick, who writes about the internet culture, and like how social media has transformed. It's very casual, it's very funny, but it's also very real, like talking about how like Twitter has transformed into TikTok. And the most recent one was about, like today's actually, as of February 26th, was about how TikTok, like the average age of user of TikTok is increasing because people are just growing up with the app.
Yeah.
And they're not getting new young people as often.
Interesting.
And he was comparing it to the data that like the average age of Taylor Swift fan is over 35.
Yeah.
Like we associate Taylor Swift always with the youngest generation.
Right.
But the actual like quote number of biggest fans is over 35.
That's amazing.
Because they were around like she's only like what 30.
She is 1989.
Yeah.
Let's
do that math.
That is 20. What's
30.
She's 30. We're in 2024.
She's 35.
35. Sorry. I
So-
can do math. I'd just like to say
I
I can do
believe it.
math. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That was like some very on the spot math. You're fine. Her average age is hers. It's people who are her age.
Yeah.
But like you said, intergenerational, which I think is very cool.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about Eras and the Eras tour, which is I guess is wrapped up at this point, correct?
No, it's still going.
It's still going. Oh, because now we're like international, right?
Yeah, she was just in Japan.
Oh my god. Let's go
okay,
to
go,
Japan.
yeah.
Let's go.
She's coming back to the United States too. She's coming back
Amazing.
to Florida.
What this is a lowball question. What can Taylor Swift's Eras tour teach us about content marketing?
Oh gosh, everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
What worked?
What worked? What I think she set off, which now other artists are doing, is creating concerts around their music, not just based on one album, but multiple of their albums.
Right.
So Jonas Brothers just did something like that. Beyonce did some. The Renaissance tour was kind of mixed.
Yeah.
I was a little sad.
Tour based on the album.
Right. Yeah, I was a little sad. She missed a few of my favorite songs.
Yeah. Can't hit everything. Really.
I know, right? I love you, Beyonce too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's also something. I mean, she's a brilliant businesswoman. And I know I'll go into the marketing part, but like 1989, for example, when she released Taylor's version, she released 4 or 5 of the physical like albums, the records.
Yeah.
And I bought it. Every single
Of
one
course,
them.
of course.
Because you need a collection.
And they formed like an image, right?
Yeah. Well, it's different images. It's different colors. I was trying to explain this to my mom. She was not understanding why. She was like, "But they have the same songs." And I said, "Of course, but they're different colors."
I know.
And you need to have the collection.
That's just brilliant. That's just brilliant. Sure.
So just the businesswoman herself is very smart, and she also put like a limited edition to some of them, and it made everyone want to buy them, and sells out all this stuff, and then eBay goes crazy and resells them.
Yeah.
But in terms of marketing, gosh, she does I think many things right in marketing, but I think one particular call out to her is that she's really good about generating enough content so that fans can take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And be a part of that narrative, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she leaves enough of like the Easter eggs. I know she's known for some secrets and some hidden
references to
different things. And so it kind of puts fans on a wild goose chase to figure it out. And I think that's kind of brilliance of Taylor is that she always knows probably 20 steps ahead of everyone and just leaves little Easter eggs as she goes, and everyone just goes crazy for that.
Yeah, of course. She's playing 4D chess and we're always playing checkers.
we're not even close to chess at this point.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, that's a really good point too about like leaving those little clues. I think builds like a familiarity with the brand that you're like, this is special because I picked up on it, or
Right.
me and this like Reddit thread of insane people
Right.
like know what she's referencing and no one else gets it. Like it's makes
Yep.
you feel attached to the music.
Right.
Yeah, I just think like say what you will about how people feel about her. She's good at what she does.
Oh, brilliant.
You can't deny that.
Brilliant.
Truly. So we know about that. Is there any other like major interests outside of like business and sports that you really like? Have we talked about TV? Are you watching any good TV these days? For
No,
example,
I'm not a huge TV and movie fan.
Okay.
Like, I just went to a bachelorette party and half the conversations were about, oh, what are you watching?
yeah,
What are you
and
watching?
you're like,
Reruns of Ted Lasso at this point.
Okay.
No, I watch Habit Elementary.
hell yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Are you enjoying the new season? Are you
I love
started
it.
the new season?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have to find like little pockets of things that I find interesting, like documentaries or something. Like
Yeah.
the Patriots Dynasty one's gonna be fun to watch or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh yeah.
But there's not one series right now that I'm attached to.
I gotcha.
But back to your point of like what other interests, I'm really into Broadway,
Hell yeah.
which yeah.
Sorry. I became real Alan for a second,
Yeah.
not a co-review content Alan.
Which I feel like not many people know.
I didn't know that about you. See,
Yeah.
this is why I asked these questions. Do you have a favorite like player musical?
Les Mis, of course.
Okay.
We so I went to London back in October and we went to see Les Mis in the West End, which is the equivalent of watching Hamilton on Broadway.
Yeah.
It's incredible, like life changing.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you feel? Sorry, this is the last part about
Please,
this
no,
tangent.
let's go.
How did you feel about the movie?
I don't think Russell Crowe can sing.
Whoa.
No, I don't. Like,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry to Russell Crowe.
No, that's your clip. Whoever's our intern, please clip that.
Yeah.
And send that to Russell Crowe's team. Interesting. I had heard that that movie was like kind of boring, which is interesting because I know
The
people
musical is long. Like I
Yeah.
have friends that do not like Les Mis because of how long
It's
it is.
very
But
long.
you need to like really take in the emotions and
Yeah.
the storyline, and yeah, you have to have a bit of attention span to get through it.
Sure.
But yeah, the movie's a little long, and yeah, if you're listening to Russell Crowe to try to sing, it's not. It's like listening to Pierce Brosnan try to sing in Mamma Mia, where you know he's not that great, but you
Yeah.
love him anyways.
Sure, he's trying. It's the
Yeah,
effort.
he's trying.
I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going to New York next week, or this week rather, and I really want to just freaking go to Broadway already. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
It's just hard to time, and I want this trip to be like not too much planning.
Yeah.
You
Do
kind
the
of have to
lottery.
plan around. I guess that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
You can just do lottery, and if you get a ticket, you get
Yeah.
one.
What do you want to see?
Someone just sent me one recently, or linked me to one that was like a musical. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll have to tell you later.
Okay.
But I really like musicals. I also got in on the Hamilton train
Yeah.
for a while, which concluded with I had friends who moved to California during the pandemic,
Very nice.
and the last time they hung out, we sat in my backyard and we watched Hamilton, the Disney Plus one, on like my projector, and like projecting against the back of my parents' house, which was a very special, like that was kind of a conclusion to that love for me, because I was like, okay, now,
Yeah.
and now I'm seeing Hamilton memes again on like TikTok, and I'm like, wow, it's.
Hamilton can like hit you at random spots. You're like, yeah.
I suddenly realized I know all the lyrics to Nonstop, and
Right.
they're just still up here somewhere. They're trapped.
It's amazing, and when you kind of watch other people, I think Leslie Odom Jr. is actually coming to Boston
Okay.
in a month or so. So
Yeah.
I see that. I'm like, yeah, back to my Hamilton phase or
Uh-huh.
something. Yeah.
I'm back at it.
Yeah.
I would still like to see it live someday. I had a like ridiculous Cats fixation back in 2019
Cats.
because I watched the movie with some friends, and it's a very special experience because like no one else was in the theater except
Yeah.
us and like one other group, and we were all like drinking a little bit. It's like very silly. The movie's bad.
No,
It's really like wild and bizarre and inappropriate, but
I'm a cat lover.
yeah, right.
Yeah, and
You're a big cat.
I'm not a Cats musical fan.
Right. Anybody who's been on a Zoom call with Emily knows that she has a wonderful cat. And,
Always makes an appearance.
Yep,
I love
has to.
Milo.
Milo's awesome. And then after, because I liked that experience so much, I watched Cats the Musical like a week later, and I was like, this is way better. This is way, because you can't go into Cats like expecting like heavy storyline. Like it's kind of just vibes, right? And good songs,
Yeah.
like really good singing. And it's just bizarre. It's like surreal and bizarre, and Andrew Lloyd Webber was on one, and that's fine. But the movie is just like a whole different canon. I just think, last point about this, like we haven't like Broadway doesn't adapt to cinema super duper well, which is why I'm very concerned about the Wicked movies that are coming
Oh
out.
gosh, the Wicked movie.
Yeah, well, there's
It's
gonna be
already
two, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a two-parter.
Yeah, which I've never actually seen all of Wicked. I've listened to Defying Gravity a lot,
Yeah.
but
I love Wicked.
yeah, I know a lot of people love it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people say that like the first act is very good,
Yeah.
and then it dips really hard in the second act,
I don't
which
think
is why
so.
some people are like the second movie might be kind of dull. It's like the concern.
I mean, the movie musical is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just there to listen and have fun. But I
Sure.
saw Wicked first in Boston when it came, and I
Nice.
love Wicked. It's great. Then I saw it on Broadway recently, back in
Yeah.
September,
Yeah.
and because they made the theater to make it up to be Wicked themed,
Uh-huh.
it was incredible.
That's
as
very
well.
cool.
But I'd like to argue the second half is not bad. I actually really like the second
Interesting.
half,
Okay.
and it really gives a good storyline. It ties everything up at the end.
Okay.
But you should see it.
Yeah.
Maybe
that,
not the movie musical, but maybe. The
no, I'd
musical.
like to see a musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then last but not least, just again a light question.
Yeah.
You're somebody I always associate with a certain level of professionalism, both in the way that you present yourself, like speaking, and also like your attire. For example, I feel like you're always like the business casual icon.
I am.
Amanda
I'm a
Boston.
little too casual today. I didn't.
You're rocking the U.S. Open polo though. Like this is cool. This is a good look.
This is my favorite. Quarter zip.
Quarter zip,
Yeah,
rather.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love golf too. Just saying that.
Do you have is it? Because I guess like you talked about sports, so it must be like athletes inspire you. But is there another like what made you think like I want to be the kind of person that dresses up like this?
I wouldn't say athletes inspire me. Well, growing up, probably like
Okay.
huge Nomar Garcia fan.
Of course.
Yeah.
How can you not be?
Fan, yeah. Gosh, he was the inspiration between looks. I grew up like really enjoying the preppy look,
Uh-huh.
kind of that salmon shirt kind of phase where everyone was part of that.
Yeah. I was there. I was in the lines. Yeah.
Like Kyle James Patrick, Lily Pulitzer, all of those people, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
I feel like I was like, yeah, those are really cool people,
I see.
and then you realize, party in the Hamptons is not really what life is
Yeah,
like,
right.
and the reality of it. But I kind of have always liked that style at least.
Uh-huh.
Forget about the lifestyle, but
Yeah,
the actual style.
The aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I kind of always joke that I grew up in consulting in terms of my career. My
Mhm,
first job
mhm.
out of college was in consulting,
Mhm.
so you're kind of made to dress well
Yeah.
because you want to be close to the clients, impress
Mhm.
the clients. You don't want to be like that young kid at the seat at the table not looking great. So
Yeah,
I
of course.
think I was kind of pushed to also look like that or to
Interesting.
dress well like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel good when I dress well, so that's probably the
Fair enough.
full of it.
Yeah, I got you. Well, that was my last question, Emily.
Alright.
I want to say thank you again, Emilee Cocuzzo, for joining me for Talking Marketing. I'm so glad we were able to make this one happen. Is there anything you'd like to plug for people?
Plugging as in
Your own social media or
I
projects you're working on or things you want people
Gosh.
to know about?
a few things. Probably feel free to follow me, connect with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I'll put those in the show notes,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Because my first and last name is kind of hard to.
Yeah, Emily and
Spell them.
Cocuzzo both not spelled the way you
Yeah.
would immediately think, but we love the way it's spelled.
And then I'll also say follow AMA Boston. Feel free to come to our events, please. Reach out to me anytime. Email me. I'll also put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
If you're not a member, it doesn't matter. If you are a member, we'd love
Yeah.
to chat with you, and just feel free to email me at any time. I pick up the phone. I pick up emails. I just want to have a conversation with people and really get to know them and what they want out of AMA Boston. So thank you so much.
And thank you guys very much for listening to another episode of Talking Marketing. I want to point out that next episode is going to be episode 50, which is huge. I don't know how many I've done, but it's our episode 50, and we have something special planned for
We
it.
do.
I don't want to talk about it too much just yet, but our guest will be very special, I think. I hope. I don't even know. And you guys can listen to the plug zone at the end for information about upcoming AMA Boston events. I encourage you to check out the website, amaboston.org. And as Emily mentioned, check out our social media where we're posting all sorts of great stuff. So thank you so much again to Emilee Cocuzzo, and thank you for listening to Talking Marketing. Peace.